If you've ever wondered what truly separates a good extension install from a flawless one, this is your sneak peek. In this training, I'm going to show you the kind of education that we teach inside of IBE Certification. Think of this as the why and part of the how without giving away the entire course. The truth, there's an entire layer of technique that separates a good install from a flawless one. The things you don't even realize you're missing until someone points them out. Each of these lessons comes straight from parts of our IBE methodology. But I want to be clear, what you're about to see is only a very small glimpse. Some parts of the IBE method are proprietary. That means I won't be showing you things like our exact bead work or section sizing. Instead, I'll give you concepts and strategies so you can start refining your own work while showing you what's possible when you have the full IBE system. What I can share will make you rethink your approach to every single row that you install. Over the course of this training, we're going to cover 6 areas: strategic sectioning, scalp awareness, foundation work, clipping with intention, weft placement, and precise stitching. By the end, you'll see why IBE stylists consistently stand out in the industry and why the smallest details make the biggest difference. You'll not only have a new perspective on installs, you'll also understand just how much detail and strategy is possible when you train at the highest level. Welcome to the IBE Insider Mini Course. Sectioning is one of the most underrated parts of an install. Most stylists think it's just about making pretty lines, but in reality, it is your install's blueprint. Every bead, every stitch, every single step after this depends on the quality of your sectioning. The more precise you are here, the less you'll have to fight your foundation, fight your clipping, or your stitching later on. At IBE, we teach you to read the natural head shape like a topographical map. The parietal ridge, the occipital bone, the recession points, and cowlicks, these aren't just features, they're landmarks. They'll tell you exactly where your row can live, and just as importantly, where it absolutely should not. Placing rows directly over these areas creates tension, discomfort, and puts your client at risk for damage during grow out. Avoiding them is one of the first steps to creating an install that not only looks beautiful, but also wears beautifully too. When it comes to shape, think soft slope, not steep angles. Steep sections and gravity are not our friends. Over time, that pull will concentrate on your corners, creating tension spots and even worst case scenarios, contributing to traction alopecia. A soft, gradual slope works with the head shape, distributes weight evenly, and keeps your install healthy over the long term. And don't forget about the sides. Any waves, humps, or dips in your section lines will create uneven tension points, which weaken your grow out and can lead to premature shedding. Keep your sides straight so the tension remains balanced across the entire row. Here's a pro tip that you can start using today. Before you even pick up your bead thread or pliers, hold a weft up to your section. If it naturally hugs the shape of your parting with no gapping, you're in the right place. If it's fighting you, or there are hairs that are not in alignment, that's your cue to adjust before moving forward. This one habit can completely change the comfort and longevity of your installs. Remember, your section shape is the foundation for every step that follows. Start strong and everything flows easily and falls into place. When your sections flow with the head shape, your rows not only blend better, they feel better for your client. And a comfortable client is a loyal client. Once you learn to read the head shape like a map, you'll stop guessing where your rows should go. You just know. And that's the difference between hoping your work turns out right and knowing it will. A healthy scalp is the foundation for long-lasting extension wear. No matter how beautiful your install looks on day one, if the scalp is stressed, irritated, or damaged, the results won't last and your client won't be comfortable. Every client's scalp is unique. Elasticity, density, and sensitivity vary, not only from one person to the next, but also from one section of the head to another. That means you cannot apply the same exact tension everywhere and expect a healthy grow out. With every section you take, you need to be watching the scalp's reaction. As you place each bead, make sure the scalp is staying in its natural position. Elasticity is a big one. Some areas of the scalp will have more give, while others are firmer, and this can even change within the same row. In zones with high elasticity, you must be extra mindful to release excess tension before securing your bead. Otherwise, that section will feel overly tight and create painful spots in your foundation. And let's talk about scalp reactions. If you see the scalp turning white when you place your bead, Stop immediately. That's a sign of restricted blood flow, and if left uncorrected, it can damage follicles over time. Loosen your bead, adjust your placement, and reassess before moving forward. Redness is another warning sign. It's usually caused by uneven tension or too much pull on the client's natural hair. This will not settle in on its own. It will only worsen during wear. Redo the section now before it becomes a bigger problem. You can have the most flawless, snatched-looking install in the entire world, but if it's putting stress on the follicle, it won't matter. Healthy hair starts at the scalp, and your awareness here directly impacts both the beauty and the longevity of the extensions. At IBE, we train you to keep your eyes on the scalp throughout the entire process. The scalp tells a story, and if you learn to read it, you can prevent problems before they happen. And that's the difference between installing extensions and creating an experience that keeps your clients coming back for years. Before we jump in, I want to make an important note. The beadwork sectioning you'll see here is not IBE specific. Our beadwork is proprietary and taught only inside certification. What we're showing you now are general concepts and common mistakes to be aware of. Things that can help you spot weaknesses in your work and start thinking about how to build stronger, healthier installs. At IBE, we truly obsess over consistency in your foundation work. When your foundation is uneven, your tension becomes uneven. And uneven tension is the perfect recipe for excess shedding, discomfort, and long-term damage to your client's natural hair. If your sections are not perfectly clean and consistent from the very start, there's no way to create even tension across every hair in the row. In extension work, tension is everything. Get this wrong, and no amount of beautiful stitching or blending will save the install. Section size also plays a huge role here. If your sections are too small, there's not enough hair to support the weight of the row. This puts a smaller number of hairs under far more strain than they can handle, which almost always leads to premature shedding. On the flip side, if your sections are too thick, you'll start pulling hairs out of their natural fall. That creates problems like scalp puckering, tightness, and discomfort, and in some cases, visible irritation right after the install. Even tension is critical. Every single hair needs to come into your beads with the same amount of pull. If some hairs are tighter than others, they will bear most of the strain, weakening the follicle and shortening the lifespan of the install. Incorrect beadwork in any of these areas, section size, alignment, or tension, almost always guarantees excessive shedding before your client is ready for a reinstall. And then there's the bead distance from the head. If the bead is too tight, you're putting excessive stress on the client's natural hair and scalp. That tightness might feel secure at first, but over time, it causes tenderness, restricts movement, and can even damage the follicle. If it's too loose, the opposite happens. The row will feel like it has already grown out, and it will create uneven tension when stitching. This leads to tension spots, buckling, or waviness in the row. When you learn to dial in all of these details, section size, clean partings, even tension, and the correct distance from the head, you'll see an immediate shift in your work. Your installs will look cleaner, feel more comfortable, and last longer. And your clients are going to notice the difference too, because a well-built foundation isn't just about making your job easier. It's about protecting their natural hair, keeping them comfortable, and setting a standard of quality they'll associate with you from that very first appointment. Your clips might be small, but the role they play in your install is huge. They're not just holding things in place. They're controlling the alignment of your entire row before you start your first stitch. Think of clipping as pre-shaping your row. If your clips are off, your row will be off. And no amount of perfect stitching can fix a row that's been clipped in the wrong position from the start. Before you even think about stitching, look at the hair in your wefts. Any messy hairs, splits, or strands that are out of place, fix them right away. The moment you start stitching over messy hairs, you're locking those imperfections into the row. And those little imperfections can cause big problems, from crooked stitching and loose stitching to tension points and pulled hairs. Misaligned wefts are another issue to watch for. If they're not sitting exactly where they should, you'll end up with corner flaps, visible edges, or unnecessary bulk in the row. None of them which scream seamless install. We treat clipping with the same level of precision as every other part of the process. It's not a throwaway step, and it's not something that you can just rush through. Clipping is part of the real work, and when you clip with intention, you set yourself up for stitching that is smoother, faster, and far more precise. Weft placement is both the art of blending and the science of balance. It's not just about asking, will this blend and hide? The real question is, how will this wear for the next 6 to 8 weeks? The choices you make during placement decide whether the row looks flawless the day you install it and whether it still looks just as good weeks later. You have two main options when placing your row, a lineup or a corner wrap. This choice depends on several factors, including the client's color pattern, their hair density, their texture needs, and how many wefts you plan to place on that row. Each method has its place, and each can give you beautiful results when used intentionally. No matter which method you choose, weight distribution has to stay at the top of your mind. The weight of your wefts should spread evenly across the row, not clustered in one spot. If you place most of your wefts starting and ending at the exact same point, you'll create a heavy overloaded area. Over time, those overloaded spots can put unnecessary strain on your client's natural hair, leading to tension, excessive shedding, or breakage. Corners are especially sensitive. Overloading the corners is one of the fastest way to damage hairlines. Keep your corners light, even, and comfortable. When your corners are placed with care, you protect your client's hairline long term, make their grow out more comfortable, and prevent things like slipping, end beads getting ripped out, and corner flaps. Proper placement also impacts how natural the row looks. The goal is to maximize coverage, reduce weight strain, and keep the hair moving and blending seamlessly with the client's natural hair. If the wefts are positioned correctly, your client can wear their hair up, down, or styled in any way without exposing the row. That's what makes it invisible. It's not just where you put the wefts, it's how you think about the head as a whole, keeping the client's hair healthy and wearable long term. When you master both the art and the science of weft placement, you elevate every single row you install. Your stitch work is where everything comes together or where it can all start to fall apart. This is the stage that locks in all of your previous effort, so precision here isn't optional. It's what protects the entire install and ensures your client's extensions last as long as possible while still looking flawless. One of the most important techniques we teach is the power of the lock stitch. Tight stitching is non-negotiable. When your foundation is done correctly, you can't stitch too tight. But if your stitches are loose, the trouble starts immediately. Wefts can slip, your foundation can become exposed, and beads can pop right out of place. Once that happens, the integrity of your row is compromised, and you're on the fast track to premature shedding and unhappy clients. Corners are a whole different story. They're delicate, and they can make or break the comfort of your install. Overstitching the corners adds unnecessary tension and bulk, which can cause serious discomfort and put your client's hair at risk. A secure corner only needs a couple of intentional, well-placed stitches. Anything beyond that works against you. And here's a big one. Never stitch right up to the very edge of the row. When you do, you reduce flexibility and essentially suction that row to the scalp, which feels uncomfortable and can cause stress on the hair and scalp. Always leave a small amount of breathing room. Your client's scalp will thank you. Now, let's talk about your needle and hand positioning, because this alone can make the difference between clean, consistent stitches and a messy, uneven row. Where and how you hold your needle matters far more than you might think. Always grip the needle in the center, not at the tip, not at the very end, so you have maximum stability and control. That stability is what allows you to create clean, straight stitches every single time. When stitching, work with only the straight part of the needle. This is what keeps your stitch precise and prevents the needle from catching extra hairs. If you let the curve of the needle lead the way, you run the risk of pulling in unnecessary hairs, and when that happens, you create tracking. Tracking throws off the tension in your row. It makes your stitches harder to tighten and can cause discomfort from the hairs being pulled for the client. Make sure you keep your eyes on the section as you insert your needle. If you see any hair shifting or if your foundation starts to move even slightly, stop. Remove the needle and reassess your entry point. It's far better to fix the problem in the moment than to let it travel through the rest of your row. At IBE, we train you to place each stitch with intention, consistency, and balance. Your stitches aren't just securing the hair, they're protecting your client's comfort, scalp health, and the long-term wear of the entire install. This is the step that truly locks your work in place. Now that you're here, you know IBE isn't just another extension method. It's a completely different way of thinking about your work, your clients, and your career. What you've seen here are just fragments of the deep, precise education we deliver inside IBE Certification. The level of strategy, attention to detail, and knowledge go far beyond what I can share in this short video. IBE is about mastering the art and science of extensions, with techniques designed to protect your client's hair and scalp while delivering results that stand the test of time. This is not just about installing extensions. It's about creating a career rooted in quality, confidence, and longevity. If what you've learned so far has made you realize there's a whole other level of skill and knowledge waiting for you, then just imagine what the full IBE course could do for your career. The in-depth support and one-on-one guidance is everything you need to become an elite extension artist. So if you're ready to take your work and your business to the next level, I invite you to explore the full IBE certification, because the best stylists never stop learning.